Hey guys, what's up? This is Geronimo and thank you for watching this video. And for today, we will compare the difference between RAW and JPEG. Ano ba yung dapat na ginagamit nyo? And before that, this video is sponsored by Asus ProArt. Actually, the difference between these two is yung RAW is an uncompressed image and unprocessed. Meaning, wala pa siyang nagalaw with the word itself, RAW. Siya talaga. Kung ano yung nakuha ng camera mo, yun yung makikita mo sa loob ng computer or sa editing software mo. In contrast, yung JPEG naman is the compressed file, meaning kung mapapansin nyo pag kinumpare nyo yan sa file size, makikita nyo na mas malaki talaga yung RAW compared to JPEG dahil compressed na siya. Meaning, yung mga settings na meron kayo sa camera nyo, white balance, sharpening, color profile, nakukuha ng camera yun, pinaprocess nyo yun to become JPEG. So, yun yung nakukuha yung image. Meaning, kapag kung ano yung white balance nyo, pagka-take ng photo, yun na yun. Kung ano yung color profile, yun yung lalabas. So, if ever that you will grade or edit your photo, it is better to use RAW over JPEG para at least medyo blank canvas yung i-edit nyo. But again, if you have preferred color profile or film simulations, you need to use the JPEG format para ma-carry over kung anong settings ng camera nyo doon sa image na makukuha nyo. So those are the overview ng difference between the two. Okay, now since alam na natin yung overview ng difference between the JPEG and the RAW, let's go or compare naman siya in terms of image quality in paper. Actually, yung JPEG, meron siyang 8-bit color or 16.8 millions of color compared to RAW na merong 12-bit or minsan umaabot pa nga ng 14-bit lalo sa technology ngayon, which around roughly 68.7 million of colors. So kung mapapansin nyo, mas marami talagang data yung RAW and mas marami siyang colors, kaya kung sa file size pa lang makikita nyo na mas malaki talaga yung file size ng RAW. And in terms of post-processing workflow, if you will edit the JPEG file, okay lang din naman. It can handle some of the tweaks that you will do in Lightroom or other editing software. But again, it has its limitations since na-process na nga yung photo inside your camera. So, medyo konti na lang yung room for editing, and kapag nasobrahan ka, makikita mo medyo may konting gradation, may konting pixelization, or merong konting noise na nakukuha, or even the color temperature, you cannot completely change if you will use the JPEG. Again, pwede siya i-edit but super minimal na lang. In contrast, kapag ini-edit mo naman or nasa post-processing ka using RAW files, you can really edit kung ano yung white balance mo, ano yung exposure mo, even the tonality of colors, you can still edit it without the details being crashed. So meaning, mas marami kang room for improvement or room for editing if you will use RAW files. Again, that's for post-processing. But if your goal is really take a photo using the color profile of your camera, then I think you will not edit the photo already since you're okay with the film simulation inside your camera. But if your intention is to really color grade or edit your photos, I suggest that you will use RAW file. So now we've tackled about the important differences between the two. Let's now go with some technical differences of JPEG and RAW, which is first is compression, second is file size, and last is data storage. So in terms of compression, nasabi ko na rin naman kanina na ang JPEG is a compressed file versus RAW, which is an uncompressed file, meaning mas marami kang data na meron sa RAW, which leads to the file size na mas malaki talaga yung file size ni RAW compared to JPEG. And in terms of storage, data storage, RAW packs all of the data that you need inside the image compared to JPEG. Since na-compress niya na nga and medyo may loss na in terms of data, kaya lumiliit yung file size. And in terms of data storage, mas fixed na yung meron ka sa JPEG. Now, let's go deeper in the comparison in terms of image quality using its dynamic range, color depth, and also details and sharpness. So, in terms of JPEG, sa dynamic range, since na-process na nga and compressed siya, medyo mapapansin mo na hindi, kumbaga, yung difference between highlights and shadows is hindi ganun ka-flexible kapag inedit mo na siya. Unlike kapag ka sa raw file, medyo may flexibility pa in terms of highlights and shadows, and nandun pa talaga yung detail. And if you will recover those things, medyo may pag-asa ka pa na ma-recover yung highlights or shadows mo. In terms of color depth naman, I've said earlier na ang JPEG has its like 8-bit colors lang compared to RAW na meron 12-bit. But again, dahil sa evolution ng technology ngayon, meron ng mga RAW file na umaabot ng hanggang 14-bit. So Jeff, para saan ba tong color depth? So just imagine if you are looking at a photo and marami siyang colors, mapapansin mo na kapag naka-JPEG ka, meron siyang konting gradation. Hindi niya masyadong na-translate yung colors ng mas smooth. So in terms of RAW file, meron ka mas madaming bitrate. So kapag nag-edit ka, hindi mo nasisira yung gradation or nagkakaroon ng pixelization in terms of colors. So that's how helpful it is using RAW file in editing. So again, kaya ako nga sinasuggest na if your intention is color grading and being flexible in terms of post, use RAW file and don't use JPEG. Kasi if you will use JPEG and you will edit, you can do so much about it and may limitation talaga. Lastly is details and sharpness. So, kung mapapansin nyo, since, again, compressed na yung file, lost na yung ibang details, lost na yung ibang data, so yung sharpness and details in terms of JPEG, medyo mas mababa siya compared sa RAW file, which, again, intact pa rin yung data niya, kaya nagbibigay pa rin siya ng mas sharp na image and mas detailed na image. So, hindi siya dahil mas pangit or inferior si JPEG, merong use si JPEG, merong use si RAW. You're just using RAW for the sake na sustainability and future-proofing. So for me, if I'll use this photo after 2 years, 3 years and print it in a large scale, I still use RAW format, and para at least may flexibility ako in terms of editing. Speaking of flexibility, in terms of post-processing ng exposure, white balance, and even sharpness, si JPEG fix na yan. Kung ano yung settings mo sa camera mo, yun at yun yung lalabas sa image mo. And you can still edit, but again, very minimal. But in terms of RAW file, exposure, white balance, color tonality, even the color profile of your photo, you can still adjust in post. For me, I'm using Adobe Lightroom and really get something out of the image. So that's the reason why if I'll edit really the photo that I'm taking, I'll use RAW file, especially if I do interior photography, product photography, advertising, anything related to advertising. But if I shoot photos like street, travel, usually I use JPEG and just set my settings properly in my camera, which is the Canon EOS R. Okay, for this part, I'll discuss some use cases for RAW versus JPEG. If you are a professional photographer who really edits a lot and adjusts your photos, especially if you're in advertising, shoot RAW because sometimes the art director needs to adjust something, and those extra data and those bitrate will come in handy. But if you're just a hobbyist, casual photographer who really loves your color profile in your inside your camera, or you're the kind of photographer that really don't want to edit or don't know how to edit, it's not a bad thing, then you can really use the JPEG format. But again, make sure na tama yung camera settings nyo kasi very minimal na lang editing nyo, especially yung exposure nyo. So, wala kayong masyadong room to recover highlights or recover shadows. Then lastly, if you are in a setup na kailangan na fast pace, fast turnaround time, especially in sports, then sports photographer usually use JPEG file, and yeah, kasi wala na silang time to edit their photos during the competition, and they really need to send those files to their clients. So those are the use cases that I can think of right now in using RAW or JPEG. Last, before we end this video is let's like really lay down yung pros and cons between the two. For RAW file, the pros are you're flexible, you're versatile in terms of editing, and you have a future-proof file image. But again, the cons of this is you're sacrificing your data storage, which by the way, I really buy hard drives for per client. So I have a lot of hard drives here and I really add it to my cost so that meron talaga akong room para sa files nila. And I really shoot RAW. So those are the cons. Talagang malaki yung file storage niya and longer yung workflow kasi you really need to manually process. And you need special software for this one, lalo kung updated yung technology nyo but hindi pa updated yung software nyo. So sometimes it's a little bit hassle, but I would rather to have future-proof file rather than hindi ko kayang i-edit after a while kasi meron na akong limitation. And that will come in terms of JPEG naman. So yung pros ng JPEG is smaller file, quick workflow since hindi mo na kailangan masyadong mag-edit, and less hassle kasi if hindi pa updated yung software, wala kang software to edit those things, you can use your mobile phone or as is, you can use the JPEG or upload the JPEG already. But its cons is wala kang room for editing and hindi siya future-proof kasi what if nag-iba yung style or trend ngayon and you need to re-edit the photo or you want to have it like in a different perspective in terms of editing. You don't have that much room, but it's okay since if you really like the photo quality of your camera, you really love the film simulations, you really love the color profiles, then you can freely use the JPEG. Or if you don't have the budget right now to invest on data storage, then you can still use JPEG. But again, what I'm saying is make sure that your camera settings and color profiles are correct before you take the shot. Now, in terms of color grading and editing, I use a color accurate monitor, which by the way is our sponsor for today. Thank you Asus for sending this ProArt monitors to us. And really, since then, I really want to edit on my color calibrated monitor for me to be able to have that extra confidence that I'm editing on not a curated monitor, and kung ano yung nakikita ko sa kanya, yun yung colors na makukuha ko. And I don't care if kahit saan mo siya titignan kasi I get you guys na bakit pag titignan mo sa phone or sa TV, mag-iiba naman siya. But it's different when you're printing your photos. So it's important to have like in your setup, in your environment, you're editing in a blank slate, in a flat profile, and you are confident that the colors that you have is the real colors and it's not like filtered. Kasi sometimes if your monitor is already filtered, when you go to your phone, when you go to your monitor, it's worse. So if your monitor is not filtered and it's calibrated, when you go to your phone, when you don't go to your monitor, it's really that close color. Merong pagkakaiba pero hindi sobra. Unlike kapag hindi calibrated yung monitor mo, makikita mo talaga na, ala, yung pag-edit ko nito, alam ko, tama yung saturation na, bakit pagtingin ko sa iba, malabnaw pala. So that's the reason why you need to use calibrated monitors, or you really need to calibrate your monitors if you are doing creative stuff for you to have that extra confidence na tama yung ini-edit mo. And if the client asks na, anong color space, tama ba yung color nito? Sometimes, when you do advertising, they really get nitpick and they really want to have that specific data from you and you can deliver. So thank you Asus Philippines ProArt team for sending these monitors to us. It's really a huge help in terms of editing my images and even videos. So that's all for today guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that's clear already, the difference between RAW and JPEG. And if you will ask me what I'll use I'll still use RAW even I shoot events and weddings. So I have a lot of SD cards. My photographers and my co-videographers knows this. Whenever we shoot weddings, I instruct them to use RAW. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like and share button. And also, if you like to have more of this kind of content about photography, videography, content creation, and creative business, don't forget to click the subscribe button. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Once again, this is Geronimo. Bye. See you on our next one.